They actually believe this? 10 facts that'll ruin your faith in humanity. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? Now imagine that, but 100 times worse. Today we're diving into the most ridiculous, brain-meltingly bizarre things people actually believe. Yes, these are real, and yes, they'll make you question everything. Think the Earth is flat? Birds aren't real? Or that shadows are out to get us? Believe it or not, some folks genuinely live their lives this way, and the best part? They're not even joking. If you thought the world was losing its marbles, you're about to find the whole bag has rolled under the sofa and disappeared. Hello everyone, welcome back to Wow Amazing, where we bring you the shocking, the hilarious, and the downright unbelievable. Today's episode, 10 facts that'll ruin your faith in humanity. We're about to journey into the strange, the wild, and the "how is this even a thing" territory. From bizarre beliefs to mind-bending conspiracy theories, this list is guaranteed to have you saying, "Wait, what?" So grab a snack, settle in, and prepare to be amazed. Not in the good way, but in the "how do these people exist" way. Let's jump right into number 10. Flat Earth believers are multiplying. Let's kick things off with a classic. Despite centuries of scientific progress, photos of Earth from space, and the fact that we literally have GPS satellites orbiting the planet, millions of people still believe the Earth is flat. These folks aren't just whispering about it in basements. They're holding conventions, selling merch, and hosting online forums where they debate the existence of gravity like it's a conspiracy. The Flat Earth Society is even an official group, with members all over the globe. Yes, they say that with a straight face. It gets better. Some flat earthers believe we're living under a giant dome, like a real-life snow globe. Others think Antarctica is an impenetrable ice wall holding in the oceans. And then there's the NASA is lying crowd, who insist space agencies are part of the cover-up. So why hasn't anyone fallen off the edge yet? According to flat earthers, you're not asking the right questions. Modern science, 1. Flat Earth believers, 0. Well, let's move on before your IQ takes a hit. Number 9, birds aren't real, apparently. What do you call a pigeon? A bird? Not if you ask the people who genuinely believe that birds don't exist. Yes, there's a growing conspiracy claiming birds were wiped out decades ago and replaced with government surveillance drones. According to these theorists, the entire bird population was secretly exterminated in the 1970s and swapped with high-tech machines designed to spy on us. Think of them as feathery little flying CCTV cameras. Their evidence? Ever seen a pigeon sitting on a power line? That's not resting. They claim it's recharging. And the poop on your car? Apparently that's liquid tracking technology. Gross but efficient, I suppose. This conspiracy has gained such traction that its believers have launched protests, handed out flyers, and even sold merch. They've turned a joke into a movement. Meanwhile, actual birds are out there, living their best lives, blissfully unaware they've been accused of espionage. So next time you see a sparrow on your windowsill, just remember, to some people, it's definitely watching you. Number 8, raw water. Because clean water isn't natural enough. For most of us, water that's clean, filtered, and free of bacteria is a pretty good deal. But for some, it's just too mainstream. Enter the bizarre trend of raw water, untreated, unfiltered water, straight from the source. These people are paying hundreds of dollars per bottle for what they call pure water, claiming it's better because it hasn't been tampered with. What they conveniently ignore is that it's also teeming with bacteria, parasites, and diseases. Proponents argue that filtering water removes its life force. Yeah, sure, if you consider E. coli and Giardia to be signs of life. Spoiler alert, drinking raw water has already led to outbreaks of waterborne illnesses in certain areas. And the kicker? Some of these companies bottle this water from puddles, springs, or streams, often in places where animals drink, bathe, and do other things. So next time you hear someone bragging about their raw water cleanse, remind them that modern filtration exists for a reason, because as natural as it might seem, so are hospital visits. Number 7. The moon landing was fake? 1 in 6 say yes. You'd think planting a flag on the moon and taking a giant leap for mankind would shut down the doubters, but nope. 1 in 6 people still believe the moon landing was staged. Their theory? NASA couldn't pull it off, so they hired Hollywood to create a fake set and hired Stanley Kubrick. Yes, the guy behind 2001, A Space Odyssey, to direct the film. The flag waving in the wind, the shadows, all part of the cover-up, apparently. But here's where it gets wild. Scientists left mirrors on the moon during the Apollo missions. These are still used today to measure the moon's distance from Earth. How do the conspiracy theorists explain that? They don't. And let's not forget the literal thousands of engineers, astronauts, and mission control staff who would have had to keep this secret for decades. Clearly, no one slipped up yet. Meanwhile, Buzz Aldrin, an actual moonwalker, has been so fed up with the accusations that he once punched a guy in the face for calling him a liar. That's one small jab for man, one big shut up for moon landing deniers. The moon is real, folks. Let's move on. Number 6. Chemtrails are controlling your mind. Look up in the sky. See those white streaks left by planes? You probably think they're harmless water vapor, known as contrails. But to some people, those streaks are chemtrails, and they're convinced the government is using them to control everything from the weather to our minds. Here's how the theory goes. Planes are secretly spraying mind-altering chemicals into the atmosphere to manipulate us. What's the end goal? That depends on which conspiracy theorist you ask. Some say it's population control, others claim it's weather warfare. One guy even swears it's to make frogs. Well, different. These folks believe the government has been pulling this off for decades, despite the fact that every scientific organization and meteorologist has debunked it countless times. The logic gaps are wild. For starters, why would mind control chemicals be sprayed at 30,000 feet where they just dissipate into the atmosphere? And why hasn't a single pilot, engineer, or fuel supplier blown the whistle? But no amount of facts can sway a chemtrail believer. To them, every cloudy sky is proof the world is under attack. Meanwhile, scientists just shake their heads and say, "It's water vapor, mate. Let's leave this nonsense in the air and move on." Number 5. Wi-Fi sickness is a thing, apparently. Imagine living in a world where Wi-Fi makes you sick. Sounds bizarre, right? Well, in Green Bank, West Virginia, there's a group of people who believe electromagnetic waves from Wi-Fi routers, mobile phones, and radio towers are causing headaches, nausea, and all sorts of mysterious symptoms. Green Bank is in a designated radio-free zone to protect a giant telescope that listens to signals from space. No mobile signals, no Wi-Fi, no radio. To most people, it sounds like a digital detox, but for these folks, it's the last safe haven. They're convinced that electromagnetic hypersensitivity, EHS, is a real condition, despite every scientific study saying it's not. Ironically, some claim to feel sick, even in places with no active signals at all. Doctors call it the placebo effect. They believe they're exposed, so their bodies react. But don't tell them that. To these individuals, the technology that powers our modern world is a silent, invisible weapon. While the rest of us are Googling recipes or streaming cat videos, they're building Faraday cages and wrapping their homes in foil. For them, the future isn't wireless, it's wire-free. Let's unplug this one and move on to number 4. Number 4, dinosaurs. They're fake news. You'd think giant fossils buried in the earth for millions of years would be enough proof that dinosaurs existed, right? Not for some people. Believe it or not, there's a conspiracy claiming dinosaurs never existed, and it's surprisingly popular. According to these skeptics, fossils are either elaborate fakes planted by scientists, or they're just regular old bones that have been misinterpreted. Their reasoning? Dinosaurs were invented to discredit certain worldviews, or even better, to sell tickets to museums, because apparently paleontology is just one big marketing scam. One common claim is that T-Rex bones are too fragile to have survived millions of years, so they must be recent. Another favorite? Museums are part of the hoax to push an evolutionary agenda. Never mind the fact that paleontologists dig up new fossils every year, or that fossils are studied with tools like radiometric dating, which confirm their age. These folks aren't interested in science, they're interested in the truth. So while the rest of us marvel at Jurassic-era fossils, these theorists are busy asking, why don't we find whole dinosaur skeletons in people's backyards? Spoiler, we do, just not in theirs. Let's move on before these folks make museums illegal. Number 3, people think trains can stop on a dime. Is talk about train crossings, flashing lights, loud bells, barriers coming down, and a giant metal beast hurtling towards you. Most of us know what to do. Wait, but every year, thousands of people think they can outsmart physics and race a train. Spoiler alert, they can't. Here's the thing, a fully loaded freight train weighs up to 10,000 tons and takes over a mile to come to a complete stop. That's not something you want to challenge with your car, bike, or, believe it or not, on foot. But logic isn't universal. Every year, drivers swerve around barriers, cyclists try to beat the train, and pedestrians think they can make a last-second dash. The results? Predictable and tragic. One particularly infamous case involved a driver who ignored the flashing lights, sped past the barriers, and stopped to take a selfie on the tracks. The train didn't stop for her photo shoot, and the ending was as disastrous as you'd expect. The irony is painful. Every crossing is built with clear warnings, lights, bells, even lowered barriers. Yet people think their schedules are more important than basic survival. Remember, trains don't stop for anyone. No matter how fast you think you are, patience isn't just a virtue at a crossing. It's the difference between life and becoming a statistic. Let's roll on to number 2. Number 2, people refuse to believe gravity exists. Gravity. The invisible force that keeps us all grounded. Literally. But believe it or not, some people insist that gravity is fake. Their argument? Things don't fall because of gravity. They fall because they're heavier than air. Yep, that's it. Isaac Newton and every scientist since apparently wasted their time on a made-up concept. These skeptics argue that the Earth is flat, of course, and that gravity was invented to prop up the globe model. Their proof? Drop a rock and watch it hit the ground. To them, that's all the explanation needed. It's heavier, so it falls. As for why things don't just float into space, they usually say something about density. Here's the kicker. When asked to explain why the moon stays in orbit, or why we experience weightlessness in space, they go suspiciously quiet, or they change the subject to how NASA is hiding the truth. Meanwhile, gravity quietly goes about its job, holding the Earth together and keeping these same skeptics safely glued to the planet. Imagine how different their theories would be if they lived on the moon. Let's pull ourselves back to reality and move on to number 1. Number 1, people are afraid of their own shadows. And now for the most mind-boggling belief of them all, some people are genuinely terrified of their own shadows. This isn't just an irrational fear. It's a recognized condition called scoptophobia, where sufferers believe their shadow is malicious and following them with ill intent. They're so convinced of this, many refuse to leave their homes during daylight hours. Imagine being outside on a sunny day, and instead of thinking, "What a lovely afternoon," you're panicking because your shadow is chasing you. It's not some poetic metaphor for life. These folks truly think their shadow's out to get them. The lengths they go to are as strange as the fear itself. Some avoid well-lit areas entirely. Others take drastic steps like covering mirrors or refusing to stand near windows where their shadow might escape. Here's the irony. Shadows are literally created by you. Wherever you go, they follow. Not because they're plotting your downfall, but because physics says so. So while most of us barely notice our shadows, there are people out there actively battling their own. And in this battle, the shadow always wins. Let's leave this irrational fear behind and step back into the light, because this list has been dark enough. And there you have it, 10 of the most absurd things people genuinely believe. From fearing their own shadows to questioning the very existence of gravity, it's safe to say that common sense isn't so common anymore. Which one blew your mind the most? Let us know in the comments. We want to hear what had you shouting, "How is this real?" If you enjoyed this list, hit that like button, subscribe for more jaw-dropping content, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Wow Amazing. And hey, share this video with someone who needs a laugh, or maybe a reality check. Because if this list proves anything, it's that the world is full of surprises, not all of them good. Until next time, stay curious, stay smart, and please, don't go questioning gravity. Wait, you're still here? Okay, well, we appreciate you, so here's a little bonus. It's a conspiratree. Think people hugging trees are harmless? Not in this story. A group of conspiracy theorists believes that trees used to be miles tall, like skyscrapers. And what we see today are just their stumps. According to this theory, ancient trees reached the heavens, providing everything from shelter to oxygen, until a shadowy cabal chopped them down to control humanity. Their evidence? Mountains like Devil's Tower in Wyoming, which they insist is the petrified stump of a prehistoric tree. Never mind that Devil's Tower is made of volcanic rock, and there's absolutely no scientific basis for their claims. These folks are certain it's part of a vast cover-up. Why would anyone hide the truth about megatrees? The theorists don't have an answer for that, but they're sticking to their story. So the next time you're on a hike and admire the forest, just remember, to some people, you're walking through a graveyard of ancient giants. And there you have it, a little extra for those of you who stuck around. Some people? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this and want more, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with a friend who loves a good laugh or who might secretly believe in ancient megatrees. Until next time, stay smart, stay skeptical, and remember, not everything you read on the internet is true, except this video.